At the beginning of 2024, the UK economy faced a challenging period built in part by inflation, rising interest rates, and geopolitical uncertainty of previous years. Following the consumer price inflation's peak of 11.1% in October 2022, interest rates rose to 5.25% in August 2023 and remained there heading into 2024. Between August 2023 and January 2024, CPI inflation dropped from 6.7% to 4% respectively. The Bank of England's response to curb inflation through higher interest rates has had a ripple effect across various sectors, including housing. Rising interest rates, now at some of their highest levels in years, are having a profound impact on both prospective buyers, first-time buyers, homeowners, and landlords, which has been extended onto their tenants as monthly payments rise along with the cost of borrowing. To put this into perspective, owner-occupier costs, which takes into account the costs associated with living in and maintaining one's home, has continued its upward trend and has continuously peaked throughout the year, reflecting a considerable portion of the rise to the cost of living in the UK. As widely reported on the news and other platforms, a considerable amount of landlords have been forced to sell part or all of their portfolio due to these rising costs, and we are yet to mention the further challenges of the labour market.
The pledge by Labour to build 1.5 million homes. He admitted yesterday that it was going to be an almighty challenge. So as Housing Minister, how do you rate your own chances of hitting it?
Well, the Prime Minister is absolutely right. It is an almighty challenge. We've never been anything other than utterly candid about the fact that we think it's an achievable target, but it's an incredibly stretching target. But it is the right thing to do. And I sort of put to you what would be the alternative. We could have picked a very easy target, such as the previous government did, 1 million homes over a parliament. That would have been easy to achieve. It wouldn't admit the scale of the crisis that we face at the moment. We've got an acute and entrenched housing crisis in this country. We've got a generation locked out of home ownership. We've got 1.3 million people on social housing waiting lists. We've got to be ambitious. So, yes, it's stretching. It will be difficult to achieve. We think it is achievable, though, and we need to bend all the government to that aim.
Subscribe now for more exclusive content.
In December 2022, the average price of property in Portsmouth reached a peak of £262,321, following the consistent rise of property prices every month that year, which has been coined the property inflation year after COVID-19. Since then, average property prices in Portsmouth dropped to a low of £244,671 in April 2024, a number that was accelerated through in 2022. As of October 2024, the average price of property in Portsmouth has been recorded at approximately £256,750, slowly making its way back to its peak in December 2022. However, the amount of property sales in the city has dropped considerably between 2021 and 2024, which at present illustrates a 48.6% decrease. This is partly explained in the latest PPC podcast episode with mortgage broker Matt Marsh of RBM Solutions.
So it could be, look, you can have a 300 grand mortgage, it's going to be at 4.5%. This is now what it costs, because they were used to paying 1% or so. And then they go, wow, I don't want to pay that. I don't want to see that as reasonable.
Yeah.
Because that could be like a £2,000, £2,500 mortgage. That's tough. So the aspiration is to have that kind of house, but then the realism is, are we going to be able to afford it? They can afford it on paper, but they can't. But they don't want to pay because they don't perceive the value there.
Throughout 2024, three key components of inflationary pressures have been targeted by the UK government to stabilise the economy and in turn encourage bank rate cuts by the MPC at the Bank of England: the underlying tightness of the labour market, wage growth, and services price inflation. 1 year following the decision to raise the bank rate to 5.25%, the Bank of England decided to reduce the bank rate by 0.25%. Around this time, a sudden general election was called by the then Prime Minister Rishi Sunak of the Conservative Party, which gave way to the return of the Labour government on July 4, 2024. Labour, who haven't been in power for 14 years, had the difficult task of correcting the major challenges in the economy, which was to be addressed in their first autumn statement. National insurance contributions and minimum wage were increased to help accelerate wage growth, as well as the lowering of stamp duty thresholds from the 1st of April 2025. Just before the budget was announced by Rachel Reeves in November, the Bank of England decided to reduce the bank rate again by another 0.25%. We cannot underestimate the importance of the decisions that has been made during this period, as they will surely be tested as we head into 2025. The increases in minimum wage undermines growth and brings additional pressure on SMEs and large corporations in the private sector.
I think it's quite a short-sighted budget in my eyes. And the reason why I say that is if I employ somebody, the minimum wage, not that I want to pay somebody minimum wage, I've never paid anybody minimum wage, but what it's done is it's devalued any pay increase that I've given to my team members and staff.
Yeah.
Because minimum wage has been accelerated almost quicker than I can keep up pay rises, so it's almost wiped that out. Also, yes, I understand the reasons behind why there's a minimum wage, but it now becomes a choice for an employer whether they decide to work smarter, cut costs, because in real terms, minimum wage going back 6-7 years ago was about 15-16 grand, and now it's pushing 25 grand. So if you've got 10 members of staff, you've just added over 100 grand to somebody's wage bill, and that's a hefty cost to go through. And you end up thinking, right, well, maybe I don't recruit somebody else, or I have to think of smarter ways to be able to get more out of my staff, and then you have the more fatigued staff, and the quality of what you've got has gone down, or you can't grow as quickly. With there being no breaks as well for the people that are employing everybody. We have a really positive number of, in Portsmouth specifically, aspiring business owners, small businesses, and I think that begins to suffocate. So it then means that we can't grow as well.
Although bank rate is reducing, the purchase of property will incur more costs due to the lowering of stamp duty thresholds. Across the city, there are many high-end or larger properties that have been on the market for the entire year and still haven't sold, even after reductions. However, the population is growing and affordable housing continues to be in demand in Portsmouth and nationwide. If you've made it this far and gaining some value from the information being presented here, go ahead and drop a comment and like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to Portsmouth Property Connect and hit the bell for more alerts on more exclusive content. Throughout the MPC summaries of 2024, the Bank of England have made it clear that monetary policy will need to continue to remain restrictive for sufficiently long until the risks to inflation returning sustainably to the 2% target in the medium term have dissipated. So although further reductions are anticipated, it will be over-optimistic to expect rates to drop to 3% or below. That being said, it will take at least 12 to 18 months to feel the effects of these bank rate drops. This will no doubt impact businesses and consumers, especially in regards to property, while slowing down discretionary spending and stabilising prices in the medium term. With Portsmouth being one of the most entrepreneurial-driven cities in the UK, it is important to highlight that disparities in the labour market may expose itself further in 2025. Struggling businesses may contribute to higher levels of stress among staff and dissatisfied employees, leading to a rise in staff calling in sick and unemployment. Average house prices in the UK are expected to face moderate price corrections in 2025, with the UK population growing and Portsmouth being a port city with a strong historical heritage and military presence, as well as educational and seaside appeal. Prices may stabilise or experience modest growth for housing in desirable areas. However, the supply of properties to buy may remain slow, due to the pace of construction, reduced investment in housing projects, and economic uncertainty. Although government have announced regeneration schemes for housing across the country, demand vastly outweighs supply, which is unlikely to be met. Considering that the bank rate has just started dropping, rental prices will remain as they are, unless mortgage rates rise further than its most recent peaks. Rental demand will remain very strong in the city, especially as home ownership becomes less accessible. A constant need of accommodation for students and military personnel, and a growing number of new citizens and working professionals coming to the city also strengthens rental demand. Short-term accommodation is still a growing yet oversaturated concept, which is expected to be regulated by the end of 2026. 2024 has been another testing year. Much of what has been discussed and predicted is also dependent on geopolitical instability, supply chain disruptions, global commodity prices, and environmental risks, to mention a few. However, there are many companies and professionals operating locally in property who are thriving in the current market. Time is the greatest healer and revealer, and we will continue to keep you updated on the UK economy and local property market. Let us know your thoughts and predictions for 2025, and if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe to Portsmouth Property Connect for more exclusive content.